my colleague, Ambassador Professor Jody Wakungu, and colleagues, members of for the state. Good morning. I'm extremely gratified and honored to be here today to assume the office of CS Environment and Forestry. And firstly, I wish to thank the President for bestowing upon me the trust and confidence. I have absolutely no doubt about the enormity of the task and the responsibilities that go with this docket. This ministry, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, is really the foundation of the Big Four. A healthy, secure, clean environment is a critical enabler for all the four pillars. And all of us, I think, should know this very obviously. We're talking about food security. We can't have food security unless we have waters, we have forests, clean environment. We're talking about manufacturing. The Ministry of Environment and Forestry provides a critical resource for our manufacturing sector. You're talking about universal healthcare. But all of us know that apart from congenital diseases that you're born with as hereditary diseases, the other diseases really are environmental based. So for us to be able to deal with the issue of universal health care, we must ensure that our environment is clean, safe, and secure. You're talking about agriculture, housing. So this ministry really interfaces and enables those implementers of the Big Four. I thank Ambassador, commend her. As I said a few days ago, I'm quite privileged. I have found a ministry that in terms of the foundational work that has been done. I spent here, while I was preparing for my vetting, 7 days. And I found it profoundly pleased that all the policies across environment, biodiversity and natural resource management are there. Strategy papers, including the green economy strategy paper, futuristic. Not even the most developed jurisdictions have. All these strategies are there. And really credit must go. I think in this country, we have a habit. When you come into office, you think you come and you reinvent the wheel. Ambassador, I find a ministry that has all what is required for takeoff. And mine is an easy job of implementing your vision, tweak it, align it with the prevailing priorities. And this is the Big Four. I have also had the good fortune during my 7 days here as a student to interact with the various heads, technical heads, of the various components of this ministry: environment, forestry, meteorological services, Carefree, NEMA, Net Fund, name it. Climate Change Secretariat. And I have absolutely no doubt, and as I agree with you entirely, Ambassador, that this ministry has the most competent, the most dedicated. I remember the many hours I put here with them on weekends at very short notice. So I believe that I am in very safe hands. But let's also be real. As I take office now, and you, the media, have been publishing about it, this country is facing serious drought. This country is facing serious water shortage. Indeed, in some parts of this country, water rationing is already going on. Our rivers are drying up. The levels of our hydro dams are going beyond harvesting levels. Why? Because we have decimated our catchment areas. Illegal logging, encroachment of wetlands. Now I would want to say this. Now I know Kenya Forest Service and others have done a good job. But if no serious and immediate action is taken to enforce the law, in a couple of years here, we will be facing a situation as dire as probably what is happening in South Africa and in other cities. That we must protect our water towers with our dear lives. Our forest cover now is, from the latest I get, is 7.2 as against 10%. That's required by the Constitution. I keep reading in the media about illegal logging. I keep reading in the media about complicity of forest officers and rangers, and a number of them are very good and hardworking, but they are rotten ones. And those rotten officers who are the custodians of our forest resource must be weeded out. If there is evidence that links any one of them with such activities, they must be arrested and will be arrested and taken to court even before they are interdicted. I also hear about complicity between licensed sawmillers who have been allocated quotas within plantations. They go beyond their allocated quotas, of course, in complicity with the forest guards. And I want to put the sawmillers on notice. Those licenses that have been given to you are given to you in trust. You are supposed to harvest within the allocated quota or quotas, and you are required to replant. I live in this country, as all of us do. There are some of those sawmillers that do not do this. I want to put them on notice. Those who do not comply with their license obligations will have their licenses suspended or revoked. Those who encroach beyond the allocated quotas, or even, assuming, again, because, again, it will depend on the evidence, into indigenous forest, will be arrested and prosecuted for economic sabotage. I intend very shortly to establish a multi-sectoral interagency team comprising all the critical players, both state and non-state, to do an audit to determine, verify, authenticate. I don't want to believe that the media is insane. I don't think the public is insane. We must go into the bottom of this thing. Is there illegal logging or is there not? If there is, who is responsible? And whoever is responsible, irrespective of their status or political connection, will face the full force of the law. Tomorrow and the next couple of days, I intend to overfly some of these forests, Mount Kenya forest, Aberdare forest, Mount Elgon forest, Mau forest, name it, which also constitute our critical water towers. And we will invite the media to accompany us in this. Not going to engage in showbiz. It's a matter of life and death. And the president is very clear. And his instructions are very clear. The legacy that he will donate to this country is a legacy of a green economy, a clean, safe, and secure environment. And for as long as I sit here, I shall. And just as he told us when we got sworn in, that if the weight becomes too heavy, ship out. I also put, my colleagues here, kindly, I'm not coming here to reinvent the wheel, but I will put demands on you, heavy demands, as the president also puts corresponding demands on me. If the weight becomes too heavy for you, good friends, I will be more than happy to receive your resignation and seek replacement. Just as was said by the president about CSS, I'll say this about yourselves. There are other equally or more competent Kenyans to work in your place. I hope we don't have to go there. There's the issue about wetlands, water towers. The Kenya Water Towers Agency must be given the necessary powers. We cannot rely, and I have the greatest respect and trust for Kenya Forest Service, but the Kenya Water Towers Agency must provide the lead role in coordinating these various agencies. As we speak now, the agency is under an executive order. I intend to push for the Water Towers Agency to be given legislative anchoring. And I do not myself subscribe to this theory that the Water Towers Agency duplicates what Kenya Forest Services does. It doesn't. Let's come to environment. We have all the laws on environment. All the laws. Now, today, in the media, in one of the headlines, plastic bags that were banned, and Kenya received all the accolades. How do you imagine? Getting out into the neighboring jurisdiction, coming in. NEMA is under instruction as of this morning. Even as we engage our colleagues across the border, and where? Even as we engage, of course, our borders are porous. Even as we engage customs and border patrols and interior, NEMA must undertake and is under very clear instructions a crackdown. Relentless crackdown on this. In markets, supermarkets, in manufacturers, and that has to be sustained. Let me tell you this. There is no going back. If anyone is deluding themselves that the ban can be lifted through some insidious back, no, do not. On the issue of plastic bottles, we will discuss that, and already I'm getting full briefs about. NEMA must do its job. The chairman, the DG of NEMA are under very clear and specific instructions. But I'm also aware that for them, and not just NEMA, these other agencies, for them to be able to do their job, they must be capacitated, they must be resourced. I know a while ago, the fees charged for environmental impact assessment, and this is a decision of cabinet, and I'm bound by it, was taken away. World over, the polluter pays principle. The burden of correcting and remedying environmental degradation and pollution belongs with those who pollute and contaminate the environment. That is why companies must pay, must provide financial assurances. NEMA used to get a huge, substantial amount of funds through. This decision now has been taken away. I will revisit it, because I think now what has happened is that the public, the taxpayers, who are already overburdened, are bearing the cost of environmental degradation. Finally, I will engage stakeholders, including the media. The media plays a critical role. Now, I would engage yourselves and your bosses. I believe there is, or there should be, a pool of environmental journalists. I know you have to report on politics. Yes, maybe that sells newspapers. But environment is a matter of life and death. I would want to work with you, build a competent core of environmental journalism, investigative journalist environment. I will work with civil society. I will work with the faith leaders. I'll tell you this. Government cannot supervise and police everyone. It is a shared responsibility, and we must deal with our behaviors, our attitudes, and our ethics. Education is absolutely critical, and I will engage the Ministry of Education to see how environmental concerns and studies are mainstream in school curriculum. Absolutely important. We will go to churches, mosques, synagogues, temples. We will work with spiritual leaders who protect the holy shrines. The Loita Forest, which is the holy temple for the Maasai, and the remaining Maasai Laibon, Paramount Laibon, the Mokombole Simel, resides there. That forest is now in jeopardy. Communities that reside around and within natural resources, those are the custodians. Those are the defenders. Those are the protectors. Any policy, any strategy that does not fully incorporate communities is bound to fail. And I intend to work with, build very, very strong and effective partnership with communities. The communities must be involved in decision making because it affects them proximately, most proximately. This is, of course, a national capital, but it affects proximately the communities that live around. And these communities must not only be involved in decision making, they must be allowed to partake of the benefit and use without payment for environmental services, agroforestry. Those communities must be empowered. They are not the destroyers. Oh, come on. The communities are not the enemies of our environment. No. The communities are the guardians of the environment. I shall work with them. Say too much. I thank you all for finding time out of your busy schedules. I'm sure after I have done my familiarization tours, I will have an opportunity to sharpen, refine my strategy and communicate to the country. I thank you, Ambassador, and